it was in almost every sense of the phrase a deja vu all over again last night.
It really did kind of, mimic or mirror, what we saw in January in the divisional round game between the Falcons and Eagles. And, the same themes played out, right? I mean, it was Foles was not that great, did just enough to win the game, probably got away with a few throws. Matt Ryan, he probably played a little better in the first matchup, and they just bogged down in the red zone. Same thing time after time, and left how many points on the board. And, yeah, it was obviously a sloppy performance on both sides, and, it was just the too many mistakes from the Falcons, and now they lose Keanu O'Neal for the season, so a really rough start for them as they try to regroup.
What is the issue between Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and their inability to hook up for a touchdown?
Well, I think some of it is certainly scheme and design. You saw them go to those kind of, heavy formations. I mean, the first drive they go down there, he's on the field the first two plays. I don't think they targeted him. I have to go back and remember, but he comes off the field on third down. They don't bring him back on fourth down. They come up short on that drive, and it just set the tone for the evening. So obviously, between the 20s, they're great. And Julio had a fantastic night and was really the only good thing going for them offensively, at least consistently. I mean, Tevin Coleman had a few nice plays. But, yeah, when things get kind of bottled up down there and a little bit claustrophobic, I mean, they just have a hard time scheming Julio to get open. And I understand he's going to draw extra attention, but put him in motion, use him in the slot, start him in the backfield, do something different just to kind of give him a different look and kind of free things up. But when you're super condensed like that, it's hard to kind of separate and create space as opposed to starting with space and then working toward the middle of the field. So, I don't know. That's something that you'd think after all the problems they had last year, and really now this is, the third season in 4 years where they've had red zone issues, they would have worked on this and had some packages and some plays they really liked, and apparently, the ones they didn't work out.
Welcome to Friday. Melnick in the afternoon on TSN 690. Mitch Melnick along with Mitch Gallo, Joey Alfieri. Aaron Ward will join us in about 25 minutes. Mitch?
So, Eric, I think everybody watching that game is thinking still today, how was that long play to Julio not ruled a catch?
Right, including myself. I mean, when I first saw it live, first of all, it was Ryan's best throw of the night. Julio catching it over his shoulder. He did have the bobble, and I understand there was the process of completing the catch that had to be done while he was still in bounds. I mean, this really, to me, I didn't think was an issue of the definition of a catch. I think they just felt like he didn't fully pull it in by the time his shoulder kind of touched out of bounds. But, I mean, I watched that replay from several different angles and thought it was a great catch. And I thought it was good. And I thought he had complete control of the ball. It wasn't moving. It wasn't bobbling. There was no shifting of the ball. Any movement that was happening was with two hands on it before that body part touched out of bounds. So that was obviously a big play. You can point to a number of spots where they missed opportunities, but that's one that I felt like they got taken from a little bit.
I know it's 1 week, Eric, but how concerned are you with Matt Ryan overall just going forward? I mean, the arm, I don't know if it was the humidity or the heat or what it was, but he didn't look like himself.
Yeah, those balls were just sort of hanging up there a little bit, and some of it did look mechanical to me because there was that one other deep ball, and I'm trying to remember exactly where it was in the game, where, it looked like he really didn't step into the throw and the angle of the arm, and he was sort of throwing it with all arm and no legs. It almost made me think that with about 4 minutes left in the second quarter, Ryan scrambles. He kind of came up awkwardly. They called the timeout. They had to cut the knee brace off of him. The statistics weren't all that telling other than the interception and the sacks he took. But from that point on, he just looked to lack confidence and lack zip on his throw. So I don't know if there was sort of a physical thing going on with him. But after that point, I mean, it just really didn't look right with him. So we'll see. They've got 10 days for their next game. Maybe he just kind of tweaked the knee and there was a little stability loss with that particular play. I'm not sure. That's just my kind of, speculation.
Yeah,
on that.
Is that the one you're talking about where the ball appeared to actually slip out of his hand and it was like a moonshot that he was throwing?
Yeah, right, exactly. It was a rainbow, and it was just one of those balls that, in 2016, I felt like he completed about 25 of those. It was time and time again, those deep shots off play action were so effective. Look, Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, these guys don't have cannons. They don't have rocket arms, but they're so good at getting the right trajectory, the right touch, the right placement, knowing how much air to put under the ball. Matt Ryan has gone this far without having a strong arm, but it looked to be, like a guy throwing with either a bad wing or some other lower body part that was sort of taking some of the velocity out of it. And I don't know what was going on. It was very odd to see last night.
So yesterday before the game, Ian Rappaport had reported that Carson Wentz might be out a little bit longer, a few more weeks. Eric, do you think Doug Peterson and the staff could coach Nick Foles up for the net? If it is a month, if Wentz is back in October, do you think they can coach him up and just get them to being a respectable offense? Because yesterday I think the longest play was 18 yards.
18 yards, right, and the second longest was 15, and that was a throw to Foles from Aguilar on the kind of the Philly 2 part 2 that they ran. That was really the first play that kind of got them going. So yeah, they had nothing. Everything was, their longest completion up until that play, the longest gain from scrimmage was 10 yards. So everything was short to Aguilar. They couldn't get Ertz involved early on. The run game wasn't doing anything. They were, they had Jay Ajayi on the bench early in the game. It was just, there was no chemistry, there was no rhythm. And that play just kind of seemed to loosen things up. It looked a lot like the play that the Patriots tried to run for Tom Brady in the Super Bowl that he dropped. So, yeah, it was just so funny how that kind of, brought a little of the swagger back, loosened him up a little, it got a little something going, and obviously the line of scrimmage was won by the Eagles last night. Now, if they have to play 3-4 games with Foles, we're talking about, a Jameis Winston-less Bucs team, a Colts defense that looks really bad to me, even if Andrew Luck's back. And then they play the Titans in Week 4. We don't really kind of know where that team is right now. So it's not the most daunting 3 games. If that's how long he's going to be out for, another 3. Yeah, they can get him going. Alshon Jeffrey looked great in pregame. Maybe he's back in a game or 2. It's all relative, of course, but I could see them taking a jump up in these next 3 games and feeling better about themselves and maybe even being 4-0.
Eric Edholm, Pro Football Weekly. He's with us every Friday and Monday a little after 4 on Melnick in the afternoon on TSN 690. Aaron Ward, follow up on the Pacioretty interview with Knuckles Nyland earlier today on TSN 690, and tickets to Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Chicago at the Bell Center next Thursday up for grabs as well. On to New England.
Tom, there's been so much back and forth regarding your relationship with the organization and Bill Belichick over the summer. Where is it now today as you get ready for the season to start?
I'm excited about the year. Every year is a fresh start in the NFL, and every team is starting at the same place. And my goals, Coach Belichick's goals, our team goals are the same as what they've always been.
There's the odd couple. Preseason form, pregame last night on the broadcast. What is your view of what will go? How adventurous will this season be in New England?
Yeah, I suspect it may not live up to the drama that we've kind of, filtered out of this team. And were there some problems last year? Yeah. I talked to a player who was there who's no longer on the Patriots this summer, and he said, was there some truth to what was written about them? Absolutely. Was it maybe magnified and blown out of proportion a little bit? Yeah. And no one knows the relationship between Brady and Belichick but the two of them, and maybe Robert Kraft, the owner. It's really that kind of triad that has the only true intimate knowledge of how those 3 are going to work together this season. But they're such professionals. They have such a pattern of success. I feel like that's not going to be the issue. It's going to be, has the defense improved enough? Do they have enough firepower and offense outside of Brady? Are they going to get anything out of their rookie class? They've had another guy go on IR yesterday. So, there's a lot of stuff going on, and yet you look, I don't think there's somebody who's going to beat them in the AFC East. I don't know that there are a ton of contenders in the AFC in the conference that are just lining up to knock them down. And yet, could the Houston Texans go in there and beat them week 1 with a healthy Deshaun Watson? Sure, absolutely. That's a team a lot of people think can really ascend this season with a healthy quarterback and a healthy defense. So, I don't know. I suspect all that drama talk will go away because Alex Correo's back in the building. Brady says he wants to play to 45. Belichick is making moves that suggest he's not slowing down anytime soon. So we'll see. But I don't know if it's much ado about nothing, but I think it has been a little overblown.
Packers-Bears on Sunday night. I want to take you there. I think, Eric, we tend to maybe overrate the Packers roster just because they do have Aaron Rodgers and he brings out the best in everybody. But how do you feel about the Packers going into this year?
Yeah, and that matchup's gonna be great. I'll be up there for that game Sunday night, and I'm really looking forward to it. And just it's been a great rivalry since 1920, of course. But I mean, really, it has kicked in, especially this offseason, with the Bears getting 4 people in their building that the Packers wanted. Kyle Fuller, they tried to sign a free agency, didn't get him. Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator, they tried to lure him onto the staff, couldn't make that happen. They just, at least inquired about Khalil Mack in the trade. He goes to Chicago instead. Allen Robinson was another guy the Packers were linked to in free agency. They couldn't get that one done. The Bears were able to sign him. So, that right there, I think, knocks it up a level or two. Matt Nagy comes in with a team they don't know very well. So this week one matchup is probably a lot tougher than maybe a lot of Packers fans envisioned even a month ago. So, there's that, and there's the Minnesota Vikings, who loom as a potential Super Bowl team in their own division that they have to play twice. And you have to beat them at least once to feel like you've got a shot. As for the roster, yeah, there are holes, and they're perilously thin at a few positions. Linebacker scares me. Offensive line scares me. They're down a running back the first 2 weeks of the season. They've changed their long-time blocking fullback. If Rodgers goes down, we know what that means too. So if the Packers get really good luck with their injuries, health-wise, I think they're going to be a contender. I really do. Rodgers, improved defense, the whole bit. But like last year, 1 or 2 crucial injuries at thin spots could just derail the whole thing.
What lured you to this place?
I mean, you could say it lured, but to be wanted, yeah, that's all it takes. You know what I mean? It's just that feeling that they're excited to have you. Just understanding what's going on over here right now. It's an exciting time to be a Chicago Bear. You got a young talent, and on the defensive side of the ball, you definitely have some dogs, and I'm looking forward to getting out there with them dogs.
The Khalil Mack era begins in Chicago. We have that game for you Sunday night on TSN 690. Eric, you're based in Chicago. What kind of jolt has that given the fan base, the football fans in Chicago?
Yeah, I mean, if you just happen to have followed the Chicago Bears Twitter account in the last 8-9 days, you'll see that every other tweet is about Khalil Mack, showing up to the facility in his first practice, putting on new shoes, trying on his new jersey. I mean, that kind of reflects the buzz that's been going on in this city. I mean, there's been excitement over the new era here in Chicago, all the changes they've made it. I think people see, hey, this is going in the right direction, but, there's still work to be done. But with this trade, this is an indication that they are pushing the pedal down, and they really feel like they can win now, this season. I picked them to go 9-7 this season. They have work to do. There's no doubt about it. I think there are a few, areas of improvement. But you get Mack up to speed. You get the first-round pick, Roquan Smith, up to speed. This was, in some rankings, a top 10 defense last year. Then all you're waiting for is Mitch Trubisky to take that step up, the similar step to what Carson Wentz did in year 2, what Jared Goff did in year 2. If he makes any kind of leap anywhere close to either one of those guys in this season, then you're talking about a team that actually could possibly be in the talk for a Super Bowl. I don't think that's going to happen. I suspect he's got another year before he fully gets in, to that level. Those other guys started, 25, 30, 35 college games. Trubisky had 13. He only started 12 last year for the Bears, and it's a totally different system. So I feel like his ascension won't be nearly as fast as what we saw from Goff last year and Carson Wentz.
Final one for Eric. Mitch.
So, Eric, last year, every year there's teams that catch you by surprise. Last year, maybe it was Jacksonville for some, or the Rams for some, or Buffalo, who was a playoff team for some. Do you look at last year's standings and be like, I think this team is going to catch other teams off guard?
Yeah, obviously Houston is an ascension candidate because of the season they had a year ago, 4-12, miserable, the whole thing. They're a pretty obvious one, with Deshaun Watson, J.J. Watt, assuming he's back to full health, Whitney Merciless, maybe this young offensive line comes together, that sort of thing. They have some ingredients that you could say, all right, I could see them going on a streak here, on a run, on a 11-5 type of season. A less obvious candidate might be the Cincinnati Bengals, and I've been kind of touting the Ravens as a strong candidate. I don't think the Steelers are going away. So you've got a crowded division. Browns aren't going to be pushovers, I don't think. But look at the Bengals, and you see elements of a great team. Not the whole picture, but pieces that you could say, all right, firepower on offense, massively improved offensive line, a defense that has pressure players up front, a great cover corner on the back end, maybe they have the juice to kind of surprise some people and maybe sneak into the playoffs.